Number two language in programming is JavaScript. I'm sure a lot of people would be familiar with this language in the programming community. When we talk of JavaScript, it has been a long been a popular programming language across the world, and it is used by professional developers and enthusiasts alike to create applications for desktop, mobile, and web environments. It has integration into every web browser and mobile device, and has cultivated a vast community of developers with highly valuable skills. JavaScript has a rich ecosystem in the tech industry because it gives us the ability to not only write front-end code, which it was designed originally for, but we can also do back-end code as well as write applications in JavaScript using the React Native framework in JavaScript. So
All right.
next we should we'll look into why you should learn JavaScript in 2024.
Why should we be learning JavaScript in 2024? Well, JavaScript it's really really fast compared to other languages. One of the reasons that is that it doesn't have to be compiled. A lot of languages, more backend languages, C++, Python, um, and etc. One is compiled, obviously, one is interpreted, but they have to be compiled. This doesn't have to be compiled, and a lot of the interaction, or all of the interaction, is basically done on the client side. Well, how does that help? Well, it makes debugging a lot easier, because like well, you can even right click and kind of see what's going on in terms of your codes actually in the client side browser. Again, it doesn't have to inherently connect to the back end, meaning the server side. So you don't have that level of latency as other programming languages may have. Meaning from your actual node or your computer, it doesn't have to go all the way to where whatever data center or wherever you're hosting your backend servers to get information. Is done right there in the client side. And also, because of that, it's really it's less resource intensive. So it really helps with the speed. And I'll let Mohammed take point number three.
So point number two, we talk when we talk about why you should learn JavaScript is because it is a very simple language. It is designed to be easy from the ground up to understand and learn. It is very simple, and this simplicity also helps you learn in a very in a very reduced time frame, basically. And you can also familiarize developers with even with large and complex projects towards your code very quickly. So this helps in software development as the time frame in which to programming teams can complete a project becomes very quick. Its inherent simplicity also makes build systems and testing more straightforward too, which means that these features allow developers to cut down the time that is required to create applications and improve the reliability of the finished product. We'll move on to point number three.
Okay, as Mohammed said, this is actually point number three this time. And point number three is interoperability. Um, you know, uh, JavaScript is very interoperable. If I said that word correctly. Um, but basically, what does that mean? That means that JavaScript allows you to work with other languages pretty seamlessly. It works with assembly languages. It works with web development. It works with you know, obviously TypeScript. JavaScript interacts with backend languages such as basically another flavor of JavaScript, which is basically the backend side, which is Node.js. Um, JavaScript works seamlessly with databases. So, from the client side, you can seamlessly interact with databases, and etc. JavaScript is a really fluid language. And I will let Mohammed take the next point.
Um, the next point is popularity. So JavaScript is a very popular language today. It is always neck to neck with Python as one of the most popular languages in the world. And the reason for its popularity is the many use cases that are prevalent regarding JavaScript. You can do server-side programming with Node.js. You can do cross-platform mobile development with React Native. You can do desktop applications using frameworks like Electron. there's a large number of use cases for JavaScript, and no doubt it played a significant role in escalating the popularity and making it one of the most popular languages in the world. And George can take over the next point.
The next point, I kind of touched on it previously. I'm not going to go too deep into detail around this, but basically, again, JavaScript works on the client side, so that takes reduced load off of the server side, right? And there are other frameworks that JavaScript works seamlessly with, like Ajax, and the Fetch API, and it allows JavaScript to asynchronously go to servers without even and retrieving data without even refreshing the page, right? You know, JavaScript also allows you to do caching. It also has a local storage that it leverages even on the client side. Um, I think those are the main points that I want to talk about as it pertains to that. So I'll let Mohammed take the next point.
The next point I think should is point number 6, in which we're covering that JavaScript has really rich interfaces. It gives developers the tools required to engage to create engaging interfaces, basically. So basically, ultimately, what we mean here by this point here is that you learn JavaScript, and it gives you the ability to create very interactive, very very detailed interfaces on your web application. Uh, it has been on the other hand, at the same time, it has been a double-edged sword for service providers, because as interfaces have improved and grown over time, users have come to expect a much higher standard of design, and rich and engaging design has now become a standard for web services to track new users. So to a large degree, this particular point of rich interfaces has made it a bar for web developers to meet, and which means that if you use any other language other than JavaScript when dealing or creating dashboards or interfaces for your potential users for your application, and you wouldn't have the amount of depth, the dynamicism of the JavaScript language, and it would make it difficult for you to attract new users to your website or your web application if you don't use JavaScript to create your interface. And we'll move on to point number 7.
All right, and point number 7. I think we kind of expounded on point number 7 throughout this particular video, but we'll kind of try to put a bow on it. You know, why is JavaScript versatile? Well, again, it allows it works even on the client side. Also, with Node.js, it works on the server side. There's some deeper concepts that we'll get into in later videos, but those are two powerful aspects of JavaScript. Also, it allows you to manipulate HTML and CSS. Some of the the styling languages that really kind of beautify web pages and etc. It is flexible enough to allow developers to do even mobile app development with frameworks such as React Native. So I would say that JavaScript honestly is probably the second language, my second most favorite language, because of all of the things that we mentioned. But I'm kind of a Python buff, but we'll get into Python. We have a ton of video content on Python, but JavaScript, it ranks number 2. Obviously, Python number 1 for some of the reasons that we've mentioned. And I will let Muhammad wrap this thing up.
So, in conclusion, what we need to understand, and generally speaking, George put it very nicely on why, why and where the reasons behind why these two languages, Python and JavaScript, are ranked as they are. But in conclusion, generally speaking, in reference to JavaScript, we need to understand JavaScript brings a lot of advantages, and it is difficult to not leverage JavaScript, particularly in web development. If you do not use JavaScript in web development, you would not be competitive in that space at all. So it makes very difficult for people to avoid JavaScript if you want a user-facing web application developed, basically. And it also gives us the ability to build at speed, deploy the web application almost instantly. It makes it, inherently impossible for programmers to ignore JavaScript over any other language when they're doing client-facing or user-facing web applications. In general, how JavaScript works for you is dependent on the kind of services and platforms you intend to build, because the language is ideally suited to rapid production and deployment in multiple spheres, not just web development. It suits firms looking to consistently innovate and improve in multiple areas at once as well. So it's a very, very versatile, it's a very, very broad language, but in focus should always be the startup for JavaScript language, which is web development, and everything else just branches out from there. So with that, we're going to wrap this video up, and we'll see you on our next video. Thank you.